Okay, so we're gonna go over some basics. I know that everybody that has a grant has already sent in paperwork for that grant. Generally speaking, we haven't been asking you to resubmit the paperwork with every new application. However, we're starting to make sure that it is online, so we will need a copy of your organization's most recent financial audit. Um, as long as it's within the last 5 years, that's fine. We also need a copy of your articles of incorporation. If you are a government entity, this does not apply to you. We'll need a list of your board of directors or governing body. Again, if you are a government entity, that does not apply to you either. We'll also need an organizational chart, tax exempt status. So that's either you can get a copy of your IRS determination, or you can just go on Sunbiz and copy what's there because it'll say whether or not you're a government entity or a nonprofit. We'll need a copy of the supervisor's resume and job description. That is only the VISTA supervisor, the main VISTA supervisor. I do not need the coordinators. Negotiated indirect costs. Only applies if you're a program grant, if you're getting money. And letters of support for the project from the community, basically 2 letters from anybody that you're working with in your local community that supports your VISTA program. Are there any questions? Okay. So we're going to go through how to find your continuation application. When you log on to eGrants, you should see in your most recent amendment and or continuation, a continuation button. It's highlighted here. If you don't see that, you really need to call the National Service Hotline. We can't do anything about it if you don't have it. They're the only ones that can help you. Once you click that button, make sure that you're applying for the correct notice of funds availability. That would be FY 2019 for everybody on this call. After you pick this is the screen that you'll see. We want to go straight to the narratives. Your applicant info and application info should not change. Your application ID will be automatically populated, so you don't need to worry about that. Unless there has been changes in your organizational structure, you shouldn't change either applicant info or application info. Okay, so we all know our wonderful narratives. This should be updated every time you do a continuation. We have noticed that a lot of times it's not, but this is not your first year of the grant, so make sure that you're going through. Be brief, but be thorough. The narrative section should change as your project progresses, so I shouldn't read any narratives that are exactly the same as when you first applied because the conditions shouldn't be the same. Ensure that all the names and positions of your organization within the narratives have been updated. So we're going to go step by step through the narratives. Executive summaries should be brief. It's only one paragraph, that's 4 to 6 sentences, and it's just a brief description of your organization's mission, what priority area you're covering, a description of the proposed project goals, which should change. It should not be the same as your goals when you began. The number of vistas and leaders you are requesting, an overview of the major activities they will perform. Basically, it should be capacity building, but you decide how you want to word that, and the estimated time required to complete the project. Basically, over the next 12 months, what are you going to be doing? In your summary of accomplishments, everybody on this call should have some. Briefly describe what your accomplishments have been only in the past grant year. Describe the progress you made towards meeting your performance measures or any goals or tasks that you had pointed out last year. Tell me how you accomplished them. A list of various sites that will receive one or more VISTA or leader or summer associates. You can add summer associates now so you don't have to do an amendment later. Your needs would be the unmet poverty related need that you're addressing. That might be the same. So you don't need to change that. Make sure you just update it. If I'm going too fast, you can stop me. Okay. Strengthening communities is how your project is continuing to build long-term sustainability in the organization in which the VISTA is assigned, how the VISTA is being used, how many VISTAs you're requesting, and a discussion of how whatever it is that you've been doing, how that has evolved over time, and how you have already built capacity and how you're continuing to build capacity. Okay, so recruitment and development. There have been a lot of slots that were unused this year. We can't continue to have that. So make sure that you're looking carefully over every VISTA you're requesting, whether or not you can fill that. And if you need to renegotiate your subsites, that should be done before you submit your application. So we also want to see what your recruitment strategies are going to be. If you're one of the ones that have had a large number of vacancies throughout the year, we really want to see some new recruitment strategies, how you're going to address that. We also want to know whether or not your organization has the capacity to provide additional incentives like housing. So, and some of you have had a really bad time trying to recruit because, sorry, because it's hard to get vistas to live off the living allowance. We understand that. So if you've made connections in your community to assist you in housing, please let us know. We also want to know briefly your OSAT. I don't want the whole thing. I already have it. If you've changed it in any way, remember to email your program officer. I keep doing that. I'm sorry. To update it, and how your organization provides reasonable accommodations for vistas with disabilities, and if any of your vistas will need their own transportation. The VISTA assignment, the VAD, should provide a summary of key objectives. You can get that straight off the VAD. Please don't list everything they'll be doing, just the basic gist of what they will be doing. And the task and activities should align with your performance measures. As for project management, a lot of you are new, so make sure that you put your name and not the past VISTA supervisor in the project management section. And I don't know what just happened. Sorry. Okay. If there have been changes in your organization, make sure that you add that. The strategy you're employing to ensure that members are prepared for their assignment, and your plans for monitoring supervision. So if you have subsites, make sure that you briefly describe to me who is going to be supervising those vistas. The community involvement does not need to be in an essay. Just basically briefly describe to me who you're partnering with in your community. Doesn't necessarily have to be a subsite, but how you're getting the community involved in your VISTA project. Okay, organizational capacity should not change unless there's been changes in your organization. The other section is generally used for your summer associate amendments. So if you're requesting summer associates, if you know that you'll want summer associates, go ahead and put that your summer associates where they'll be here in the other section. And guesstimate how many you're going to ask for next year. The intermediary justification is just for multi-site projects. It only needs to be changed if you're adding or subtracting sites from your program. If you're adding sites for the first time, please refer to the project application instructions, which I sent out to you right before the beginning of this webinar. Okay, we're not going to go over performance measures because that would be a completely different webinar, but you do have the PowerPoint, so you can click the link and it'll take you to the Knowledge Network where you can explore different performance measures and make sure that your performance measures are aligned with what your vistas are doing. So when you click the performance measures, this is the first thing you'll see. What you want to do is click the begin button. You're only going to edit if your performance measures have changed. If they have not, leave them alone. If you have a new site, make sure that you select the site and enter the performance measures for each site. It will not let you go on unless every site has performance measures. Remember to scroll down because there's a lot of things you need to accomplish down there. Once you're finished, click the save button before you do anything else. Then we're going to add the anti-poverty information. Once we're done adding the anti-poverty information, we're going to click Done, adding anti-poverty programming. And then we're going to go to Next. This is the screen you should see after entering all your information. Validate your performance measures before you move on. If it's successful, you'll get this little message saying success. And then we're going to go back home, which means we'll have to go all the way back into the project again. I need you guys to make sure that you carefully look at your budget section, especially section 2. If you're adding or subtracting, you need to make sure that you've added that to budget section 2. And then we're going to review the application and then authorize and submit. Okay, now it's time for questions. Mary, I've already sent the slides out. Does anybody else have any questions? Now's the time to ask, please. I'm giving it a few minutes. I see someone is typing. I would use either Mary, Google, or Explorer. It's supposed to work better in Explorer, but I personally use Google. Are there any other questions?
Where should we, if we're taking on fewer vistas, where all do we need to change? I know we need to change in the budget how many vistas we're taking on. Is there any other spot we're supposed to change?
In the narratives.
In the narrative. But as far as the application information, is there anything there? I thought there was somewhere there we were supposed to change.
Actually, it would be populated by the sites and by the budget.
Okay. Based on the budget. Okay, perfect.
Are there any other questions? Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, that concludes our webinar. Thank you guys for showing up. If you have any questions later, you can go ahead and email me at any time, or Marianne. Thank you guys for participating. Have a great Friday.
Thanks, Alexia.
You're welcome.